Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to Tuesday of Project 2020 in week number 16. We just had the Griffey released and the Nolan Ryan by Jacob Rochester. If you think this is going to be a Griffey video, it is not going to be a Griffey video. It is cool to see, but I don't really have any personal affection for Griffey, even though I am a Mariner fan. We'll talk about those two cards in a little bit. We're going to talk about the market, but we're also going to talk about the potential for return wave number 2. So let's jump right into it. Let's talk about this Nolan Ryan from Jacob Rochester. And if you guys followed me on Twitter last week, you saw that on Thursday night I posted, hey, this is coming out Friday, because he posted a card saying it's coming out on Friday. So obviously there's some artist miscommunication on release dates. That's probably understandable when it comes to the fact there was no cards a couple of weeks ago. But let's take a look at Jacob Rochester real quick. So this is Jacob Rochester's 8th card, and if you were around for day number 1 of Project 2020, his Sandy Koufax was card number 2 with the Ichiro. Then he had Ripken, Frank Thomas, Griffey, Mike Trout, Willie Mays, and Ricky Henderson. Of course, his Trout is his number 1 printed card. When you look at Nolan Ryan, though, this is also his 8th card. He had his first card was Blake Jamieson at 18, then Gregory Siff, F. Andrew Thiel, the very famous 87 with Joshua Vides, King Saladin, and then recently with Grotesque. But this Jacob Rochester Nolan Ryan presents us a very interesting scenario. Could these two cards, when you mix it with the Griffey here, could these two cards together be the lowest printed cards we have seen in some time? Jacob Rochester started us on this downward trend with his Ricky Henderson. His Ricky Henderson was one of the first cards printed under 5,000 in many weeks. And then ever since then, it's gotten lower and lower and lower. And when you look at Jacob Rochester, I don't have a strong affection for any of his cards, and I don't know if there's others out there in the same boat as me or if others out there really like his work, but his print runs have never been that strong. And then you mix it with Nolan Ryan. Outside of his 87 and 105, both of those cards in the heart of the bubble, his average print run is only 4.2 thousand. So could this card print under 4,000? Everything tells us that it will and that it could, but getting under 4,000 in this current economy of Project 2020, when it comes to buying to resell, buying to pre-sell, it's very difficult. We will find out tomorrow, but where we don't have to wait is with the market, and the market continues to strengthen. And yesterday alone, there were just some incredible gains overall. And it really begs the question, how high can we get? Can we get back to where we were maybe a month ago? Look, I don't know if we're ever going to get back to the absolute peak pricing. Some of those prices were absolutely ridiculous for high printed cards, and some of the prices were just crazy overall, even for the low printed stuff. But let's take a look at some of those prices real quick from first and second player cards. So yesterday, card number 1 did not sell, but you're looking at Jackie Robinson, Natural, $500, up 25%. Mike Trout, $811, up 6%. That's great to see that card over $800. Even Ripken, $500, up 5%. Clemente, $499. So we're now talking 5-6 cards over $500, which is just great to see from the first player perspective. And then looking at second player, when you look at 630 to 7.5, everything is green. When you look at 7.6, everything is green. The only thing that's odd on here is the George Brett, and we spoke about this a few weeks ago. The George Brett had some really funky $500 sales mixed in, so that number is a little bit off altogether. But when you look at this, I mean, Ted Williams, Fucci, $270, Bob Gibson, Sophia Chang, $250, Dwight Gooden, Joshua Vides, $380. There are some really healthy numbers here on these cards that are second player with low print runs. If you're liking the video so far, please give it a thumbs up. It helps me out greatly. And at the same time, if you're not subscribed and you're a Project 2020 fan, hit that subscribe button right now. So how can there be a potential return wave if everything is green left and right of the cards that are collectible? And I'm talking about a return wave when it comes to cards past 87, 88, 90, 91. I almost titled the video, is Topps dropping the ball? But I decided not to do that because I'm not here to bash Topps. I'm here to just talk about what we can do from the consumer perspective of these cards, because in the next few weeks, I am afraid that there is going to be a ton of returns on pre-orders that people have sold ahead of time. I am starting to see very slowly people communicating with me around, hey, when is my card coming in? When is this coming in? And I'm a couple days away from being late on every single order that I have done on eBay with Topps or for pre-orders, even for my week 12 weekly bundles. I have still not received card 87 and card 88. It's been nearly 2 weeks since I have received a package from Topps, and it's very clear that they are struggling to get these 2 cards out, which is then going to potentially delay everything else down the road. And if these cards past 87, past 88 continue to lose steam, continue to lose value because there's so many of them, people are going to start canceling their pre-orders. A couple weeks ago, I said, look, I'm not exposed at all when it comes to prices or cards being sold at the very, very high prices, but I have a lot of pre-orders out there. So if people start canceling their pre-orders, it's going to cause a couple of things. Number one, it's going to cause a frenzy on social media around the fact that, oh, everyone is returning their cards again. Project 2020 is done. It's garbage. But we have to remember the customers who bought these cards, especially after 87, 88 and past, are ones who potentially have no interest in the set long term, or the players, they were only in it to potentially resell in the future. And these cards right now are barely worth more than MSRP at $15. So we have to keep that in mind. But if I were you, I would reach out to all of your customers right now if you have pre-orders and say, look, I do not have my order yet. I am getting it in, and when I get it in, I'll let you know, whatever that could be. But I think if you communicate with your buyers, you are going to stave off returns. If you just let them sit there and sit there and sit there and hope that they don't return it, or they hope they don't cancel their pre-order, I think that's the wrong formula right now. If I were you and you're a seller of pre-sales, or you sold cards just ahead of time that are not in yet, I would get ahead of this and start communicating now with your buyers to potentially save you from returns or cancellations in the future. Okay, let's have some fun now. Let's talk about that Ken Griffey Jr. And at the beginning I said I don't really have any personal affection towards Griffey, and I really don't, because I'm a transplant Mariner fan. Yes, as a kid, growing up in the 90s, I loved his baseball game on Super Nintendo, and I like Griffey as a player overall, but I'm way more connected to Ichiro than I am Griffey from a Mariner perspective. Also, Topps, did you not find another player to pair Griffey with? Could we have not put Griffey and Ryan together for a second time? The last time we tried this, it completely fell apart. So hopefully this time it does not fall apart, because it's trending right now to be the lowest printed cards out there, but we'll see what happens. But let's take a look real quick at Joshua Vides and Ken Griffey Jr. So this is Joshua Vides' 8th card. His first card is Ricky Henderson, then Dwight Gooden, Mariano Rivera, Tony Gwynn, Nolan Ryan, Jackie Robinson, and then recently with the Sandy Koufax. On Ken Griffey itself, we have King Saladin, his first card. Then we have Tyson Beck, Matt Taylor, Jacob Rochester, the infamous Keith Shore, Don C. Shoreline, and then we have the Old Man Allen Ken Griffey. So when it comes to my favorite Joshua Vides, I think it is that Jackie Robinson. And I also say, if you don't understand his style or don't understand what he's doing with his cards, I would really check out a few videos about him. It's more than a Sharpie on a card. There's some real cool style. And I honestly think these cards, if they continue to be worth MSRP, especially Vides' cards, take them out of the holder, because to my understanding from what Topps has said is they look amazing outside of the holder. So it's a chance. We'll see what they look like, but if they're not worth more than $15, you're not really losing anything. And then when you look at Griffey, I'm like 1A, 1B. I don't really have a favorite, and I also have 3 cards I could put in the top 2. And so my top 3 cards are the King Saladin, the Tyson Beck, and the Old Man Allen. I think the Old Man Allen is definitely number 3 on this list, but I go back and forth on Saladin and Tyson Beck. So let's shift gears here a little bit and let's talk about the cards on Monday. You know, we spoke about them yesterday. We had the Don C. Ted Williams, the Fighter Pilot, the Up in the Skies, Cloud 9, and then we also had the very fun Ermsey Sandy Koufax. But from a reserve perspective, after one single day, Sandy Koufax comes in at 69 pre-orders, and Ted Williams Don C. comes in at 34. Kind of a surprising result for Don C. when you think back to his first couple of cards. Yes, he's only had 4 cards, but maybe the luster is wearing off on Don C. I mean, look, the Frank Thomas we all thought would be fantastic, and I think it's a great card overall. But when people got it in hand, there were some complaints about the gold or the lack of what we thought it would look like. So 34 reserves, kind of low. But when you look at 34 pre-orders and go, what can we compare that to? How can we find a range for this card? There were 3 recent cards that had very similar pre-order totals after 24 hours, and that would be the Bob Gibson JK5, the Tony Gwynn Gregory Sif, and then the Mark McGwire Fucci. So all of those print runs came in between 4.3 thousand and 5.1 thousand. 5.1 thousand was the Mark McGwire Fucci. So for me on this card, when you think of a print run range perspective, I'm really looking at 4.1 to 5.1. I don't think it gets over 5.1 thousand. We're seeing that eBay penetration tick up every single time. But for me, I really like that middle 4 range with this card. And then when you look at Sandy Koufax with his Ermsey, 69 pre-orders, that puts him in line recently with the Ripken by Matt Taylor, the Henderson by Chang, and then the Gibson Saladin. They range from 4.9K with the Ripken by Matt Taylor to a high of 6.6 with the Sophia Chang Ricky Henderson. I don't think we get to 6.6 with this card, but I think we could get very close. So from a range on this card, I'm looking at 5.5 to 6.5. You know, there's a lot of good things about Ermsey right now. He's got the attention of the fans at the moment. So I really think this card gets over 6, but I don't think it gets over 6.6. But we'll find out tomorrow. If you like this video and want more Week 15 commentary from me, please check out that playlist on the screen right now.